Hey everyone, how's it going? Bowser here with another guide, and Mistweaver is probably one of the hardest, most technical healers I've ever played in an MMO, but I also find it to be extremely gratifying. For those of you who are here for my Evoker gameplay, just know that I do plan on mostly playing Evoker, but I started off my World of Warcraft journey in Shadowlands as a Mistweaver, and it's even more fun in Dragonflight, and I already found it to be some of the most fun I've ever had. So I want to make a little guide. So I'm going to go through things pretty quick, read through the talents. I'm going to give you the general gist of why I take things, but I'm not going to try to spend too much time on them all. There's a lot of flexibility here. So when you're going through it on your own, feel free to read things over. If something sounds really interesting, play with your points and find a way to it. Mistweaver has more flexibility than you might be expecting out of a class. Let's go into it. Talent trees, and then what the buttons do and the rotation. So as for talent trees, to keep it simple, on the monk side of things, I grab all three of these, and then I go mostly to the right side, grabbing the better heal and instant cast heal over here. Chi burst I grab for a weird reset property with Feyline stomp. Close to the heart and save them all are very important. Save them all, you're always healing people's Mistweavers, so when they go below 35% max health, you get an additional 10% healing output for the next 4 seconds. That happens all the time, right? Like if somebody falls below 35% and you heal them, well, you're already healing them probably. So this is an incredibly useful button, or not button, passive to have. But close to the heart, anyone within 10 yards has 8% increased healing taken from all sources. So it's gonna tell you to yell at your range to come in and heal. However, the healing output you get out of this button is insane, especially for other people in melee with you. This is incredible. Now, Ancient Teachings of the Monastery, I believe goes further now with 30 yards, but for only 150% of the damage done instead of 200%, it's still amazing and it's still core to the build, but you get even more value if you could just bring those people in a little bit closer. Now, there's room to play, but we take all the defensives. Diffuse Magic shares a property with Spell Reflect, so if you don't feel like you need this, you can get rid of it, but talk to your warrior friends. There's a lot of fun stuff that Spell Reflect works on that Diffuse Magic has overlap with, so this is super enjoyable. And we take things that increase our damage. Resonating Fist ends up being a good 10% of my damage in a dungeon, and all damage dealt by 4% is huge, because all of this is because over here we have Ancient Teachings of the Monastery, where Rising Sun Kick, Blackout Kick, and Tiger Palm all heal for, again, 150%. All you have to do is cast Feyline Stomp, which you're going to be doing a lot, or Essence Font, which you're also going to be doing a lot. And they're always off, and Essence Font is always off cooldown before Ancient Teachings is up. So you can have 100% uptime as long as you weave in at least that move. So before we dive into the talent tree, let me just explain how that healing works. So if I Essence Font, walk up to a mob, and blackout and hit them with Tiger Palms, they heal people. And then Blackout Kick is going to stack up to 3 times. That also heals everyone. And Rising Sun Kick does as well. Rising Sun Kick can be reset by Blackout Kick. There's a chance. It's not always a guarantee. So you charge to 3, make sure Rising Sun Kick's on cooldown, and then you Blackout Kick. And if you get it back, you Rising Sun Kick. All of this is healing as long as we have Ancient Teachings running. And the healing output is pretty insane, right? A 17,000 hit Rising Sun Kick, almost, it's not quite double, right? It's 1.5 times, but that's over 30,000 healing for a damage button. That's what makes it so powerful. All of these 3 moves will heal while Ancient Teachings is running. So that's why the whole build is all about one ability. So everything else we take here is either augmenting that or working around that. And there's a little bit of variation down here, but Teachings of the Monastery allows us to stack the Blackout Kick and give us a chance to reset Rising Sun Kick. Spirit of the Crane means that Blackout Kicks restore even more mana. I don't actually know if these two stack correctly, but you end up getting a lot of your mana back pretty quickly by just doing Blackout Kick rotations. Even if you ignore Rising Sun Kick and you just Tiger Palm into Blackout Kick and stacking it up, you get your mana back pretty quick. And you're also still outputting quite a bit of healing. And with Feyline Stomp, even more so. Zen Pulse is just an AoE on a target you select, a teammate. The ally you target gets healed for the damage dealt. And it's a lot. So in 5 target cleave, you can do about a 50,000 heal for doing almost 50,000 damage. What's not to love? This also channels through Soothing Mist. More on that later. Renewing Mist, we grab all these talents over here because we want Renewing Mist to have more charges, heal over time, and for Vivify to work through it. But because we have an instant cast Vivify and having Rising Sun Kick and Enveloping Mist apply more of our Renewing Mist heal over time onto more targets, this Vivify gets a lot of work done. And when you put it all together, your heal over time ability with this build is crazy. And if you end up going the Rising Mist build, your Rising Sun Kick is going to extend those Renewing Mists, which means you get even more value out of those heal over times and heal throughput with moves like Vivify. Your Celestial is really important. The short version is that Yu'lon's better in raid, and I take Chi-Ji almost all the time in dungeons. Chi-Ji allows you to use either a full charge blackout kick or spinning crane kick 3 times in a row, excuse me, and you get a free cast Enveloping Mist. And the free cast Enveloping Mist from Chi-Ji is not quite as powerful as Yu'lon. However, you'll heal your whole target while still spinning, and it costs no mana, which is awesome. And then Enveloping Breath from them is why when you use that Enveloping Mist, they do massive healing. Massive healing to all your allies. Again, Yu'lon's better for just pumping out massive heals, but that's more for raid. If you end up running the 1 minute Celestial build down here, Yu'lon's better for that, and that might be really useful in dungeons. But if you're running Chi-Ji, the 1 minute build does not feel good, and Invoker's Delight only lasts for 5 seconds, or 4 seconds, I think, when you use the 1 minute build. So you're not going to be using Invoker's Delight with either of them probably. The 1 minute build though is fun for Yu'lon if you want to check that out, but I'm going to be running Chi-Ji. Furthermore, in our buttons, the last big ones we're going to talk about, Feyline Stomp. The short version of all 3 of these is Feyline Stomp resets itself more often. Your blackout kick now cleaves, hitting 3 targets in total when you're standing on a Feyline. Your Tiger Palm stacks 2 per punch, which is incredible. So that means it reduces 1 Tiger Palm, 1 whole GCD from your rotation. And you have additional chances to reset Rising Sun Kick. And Spinning Crane Kick, your AoE button, now heals for a portion of its damage to up to 3 targets, which turns into your whole party when people end up at full health, or it ends up restoring different targets' health bars, and you'll gradually pick everyone's health bar up. This is one of the strongest buttons in the game. It's only missing the Shadowlands conduit, where it did more damage depending on how many people it hit. It's no longer going to steal threat from tanks, unfortunately for me. So it's now just a utility button. But this is also a very important positional button. So is Bone Dust Brew. Ask anyone from Shadowlands how they feel about Bone Dust Brew, but it basically makes it so that all targets, allies and enemies struck, have a 50% chance to have 50% more damage or healing. So say you Rising Sun Kick for 10k, you will get an extra 5,000 shadow damage at about a 50% chance. So you might get that 5,000 damage. It also increases your mastery, and it's just your mastery healing, and it's just incredible. You throw this on a pack, you start spinning or doing your cleave healing, and everything's amazing. I think Bountiful Brew is better, but I need to try more Attenuation, but Attenuation makes that a 70% more damage when it procs and on Bone Dust Brew, and it also reduces its own cooldown. However, Bountiful Brew just gives you a chance to hit people with Bone Dust Brew for free. I think both these options are incredible, so play around with these. Now, if you remove Secret Infusion and Gift of the Celestials, Jade Bond, you can go to Rising Mist to get that Rising Sun Kick extending your Renewing Mist stuff. This is what I'm going to run in Raid. Definitively, this is such an important button for Raid. However, feel free to play around with your abilities. I might get rid of, say, Zen Pulse, keep my go for 1 minute with Yu'lon, and end up with Rising Mist for Raid. But I run Fistweaving in Raid. It's incredibly fun, and things like Rising Mist have a very long range. So while not everyone's getting healed by Fistweaving, the good news is that Rising Mist will still be putting in work as your Renewing Mists jump around the map. So there's a lot to go over here, and we're already at 10 minutes. So I want to get into buttons and rotation. So I'm going to start with healing and damage buttons, and then I'm going to go into the utility of the class. So work with me. So for healing, Vivify is your standard heal. Every 10 seconds, due to a talent, it's going to be instant cast. But don't be scared of casting Vivify on its own. That's the normal healing, and that's the mastery. A few of your buttons will trigger your mastery, which just provides healing. extra healing, you have fat base mastery as a Mistweaver. So stacking mastery is nice, but don't feel like you have to. I end up running the haste build, which is an incredible amount of haste, a decent amount of verst, and next to no mastery. And what ends up happening? Well, you end up going really, really fast, and you have to Fistweave even more to make use of it, but you still end up getting a decent amount of healing out of your mastery, despite you having almost none of it, because the base value is just high. So for things like Vivify, it just makes your heals a little more useful. Now, Renewing Mist is a heal over time, and you want to throw that on targets, but it will jump to targets that need it. So if I put it on me, you're going to notice that it launches out of me towards another target that needs healing once you're at full health. So you can kind of fire and forget. So if someone's at full health, feel free to put a Renewing Mist on them and it'll jump to where it needs to go. And it also will try not to overlap with another Renewing Mist. So the more Renewing Mists you can get out and the longer lasting they become from things like Rising Sun Kick and Rising Mist, or Thunder Focus Tea, extending it by 10 seconds, you get a lot of heal over times that you're not even thinking about. Soothing Mist, I want to get to in a moment. Enveloping Mist is a fat heal over time that makes other spells heal for 40% more. Now, this is gross, but it's even more gross when we use it with Soothing Mist. Soothing Mist is a mana positive heal. It's nothing special, and you know, you can use this just kind of easily get someone back up who needs it. But what really makes this important is that other spells can go through it, like Vivifies and Zen Pulses and Enveloping Mist. There's a simple rule. If you need to heal 2 targets with 2 GCDs or more, you're going to want to just hard cast something like Vivify. Enough said, right? You're going to want to throw Renewing Mists and Vivifies, and your life's going to be fine. If you have to hard cast it, it's time efficient. If a target needs more than one, Soothing Mist into Vivify, Vivify, or Soothing Mist into Renewing Mist or Enveloping Mist, Vivify, because then they get more healing. And just look at these numbers: Enveloping, Renewing, you can't even read them all, but it's an incredible amount of healing. So Soothing Mist is good when the moment you need to have more than one heal on a target. But if they don't need that more than one heal, just pop a Vivify. And chances are you have your free Vivify up. So if someone gets hurt, you can just kind of, oops, maybe throw a Renewing on them, and then you're done. That'll heal a lot of things in the game. If they need more, feel free to give them more, but your Ancient Teachings of the Monastery is actually going to do a lot of that work for you. So don't worry about it. Expel Harm also works through Soothing Mist, but this is a personal heal. It's also a half GCD, so it recovers faster than other moves. It's incredibly useful. I use it mostly as a self-heal. There are times where it's better to use in a Soothing Mist. If somebody's dying and you need just another quick pump heal, there you go. It also does 10% of its damage as their healing as damage to nearby enemies, but I never notice how much damage it does. Don't use that as a damage button. Now, before I get into other offensive moves and heals, Thunder Focus Tea has, as you can see here up in the top, I'll zoom in on it, a bunch of different buffs based on what moves you use. And we actually have a talent that gives us extra stats. Now, I waited to talk about this talent for here because doing something like Rising Sun Kick to reduce the cooldown of Rising Sun Kick while granting versatility is also a ton of damage and healing. So would something like Essence Font, getting it to tick twice as fast and provide you haste. And haste increases your heal over times. So haste makes the ticking work more efficiently. So there's a lot of fun to be had with Secret Infusion and Thunder Focus Tea. Furthermore, when I press Thunder Focus Tea, it does a blanket heal on anyone nearby. It's nothing to write home about, but it does help us get more efficient heals out of us. Zen Pulse is a damage button as far as I'm concerned. Pop it on your tank and you just do a lot of healing and damage immediately. It's a very good friend of yours. Zen Pulse is good. It also works through Soothing Mist. So if you're pumping up your tank and you want to do a little of a quick little burst of healing, Zen Pulse is a friend. Now for healing buttons, Detox is Detox, Magic, Poison, and Disease. If you're a DPS player and you don't take Improved Detox, I will find you. I will throw hands. I'll duel you. You won't win. You might win. Essence Font is one of our best friends. It's a decent amount of mana, but it heals everyone in the area for a very large chunk of healing. And it gives you Ancient Teachings of the Monastery. What's not to love? Life Cocoon, we take a talent that gives you a renewing and an enveloping on the target. And the answer is, it's just an absolutely disgusting amount of healing. Like, they get a what was that number? a 120,000 health shield. Just so we're clear, my monk has 189,000 health. That's one of the, I think that is the biggest shield in the game for a cast. Just 2-minute cooldown too isn't too egregious, and it gives them that enveloping and renewing. You get a lot of healing out of this one. It's one of my favorite buttons. Revival. So there is another one that's better for PvP, I think, but we take Revival because it clears magic, poison, and disease effects on everyone, healing the whole raid 40-yard distance for 21,000. And if they're close to you, they get the extra 8% healing. And if they're low, if any of them are low and you've healed them recently, which you probably have, then it's increased by another 10% in the talent tree, or 20% if you put an extra point in that talent, and you react with this. In raid, you plan this button, but in dungeons, this is sort of a reaction, like, oh shit button. Now, Chi G is also a 3-minute cooldown. Again, unless you're running the 1-minute Yulon build, please don't run 1-minute Chi G, you'll be sad. If you're running Invoker's Delight, you get 33% haste for 20 seconds while Chi G is running. That's an incredible damage button all of a sudden, and healing button, but Chi G allows you to do this. So I'm going to set up a Feyline for healing, a Bone Dust Brew, Chi G, spin. And I kind of did that in the wrong order. But after a few spins, I get a free enveloping, which I could toss on people over there, and I hit 50,000 healing. Do you see that number right now? Am I healing done? And this isn't even quite optimal, but you have probably some of the fattest healing per second output in the entire game while putting up some pretty commendable damage numbers. It's a 3-minute. It's insane what you can do with Chi G, and I highly recommend you run Chi G for Mythic Plus. It's just incredible. Again, Yulon serves a very similar purpose, but you're going to be more focused on healing, and you're not going to be using you're not going to be able to do damage while using Yulon quite as efficiently. And then otherwise you have your heal everyone button, etc. But let's get into the damage side of things. And Feyline, Stomp, and Bone Dust Brew, we just need to talk about. Bone Dust Brew is a ground AoE, and again, that's what coats everyone and makes them take more damage. Combine that with Feyline Stomp. Feyline Stomp turns your Tiger Palm into hitting twice. Your Blackout Kick cleaves. It's nothing but good news for you if you run Feyline Stomp. You just got to make sure you stand on it. So wait for the pack to get fully put together, and then pop this button. But again, the damage is kind of insane you get out of it, and the healing you get out of it is also insane. So Feyline Stomp, excellent button. But furthermore, standing on it and spinning crane kicking is also a lot of healing, and a lot of healing without even trying. Before Bone Dust Brew, before Chi G, before Thunder Focus T and infused T buffs, haste, you name it. This is still a really, really good amount of healing. So always remember that as a player. I'm going to go into the buttons, but these two buttons are huge. So Tiger Palm is your builder. We showed this earlier going through the talents. You use this to build. You always want to get to 3 stacks of Blackout Kick. And you want a Rising Sun Kick before you Blackout Kick on, like I just did, again, for the resets. You want to do, even in single target, use Feyline Stomp, though, because it makes you reduce by 1 Tiger Palm. And you get your resets more often. So you just get a ton more damage and healing out of this. It's your best friend. Blackout Kick expends those charges and gets you extra damage, and Rising Sun Kick hits like a truck. These 3 buttons, you're going to learn them well. Spinning Crane Kick is your spam AoE, and you've seen it enough already. The damage is insane. The rule, so the healing rule for this is at 3 targets, I believe Spinning Crane Kick does more damage than the Blackout Kick cleave. But if you need mana back, or if you need to be healing, then at 3+ targets, continue doing your Blackout Kick cleave, because you're still going to be outputting some nice damage, but you're also going to be healing more efficiently and getting your mana back. So I'd rather you do that. However, if you don't mind blowing some of your mana bar and not everyone's dying, or you're not in a horrifying position, then you drop that Feyline Stomp and you Spinning Crane Kick to heal. It's as simple as that. At 4+ target, Spinning Crane Kick is always more damage, so it's just a priority of, do I need to heal more efficiently right now, or do I need to spin more? And honestly, with how goddamn fast you are as a monk with things like Tiger's Lust and your roll charges, you can blow your mana bar in a pull, drink up, tell the tank to wait like 3 seconds, and you probably saved more time blasting than you did conserving. It's great stuff. You do have to drink occasionally as a monk, but realistically, it's not the end of the world. Now, you have one other damage button. You have two other damage buttons. I don't know what it is about Chi Burst, but you don't really throw this for any other reason other than get a reset. But for whatever reason, Chi Burst, the way it heals and hits everyone, just loves to reset Feyline Stomp for you. So I keep it around almost specifically to do just that, to heal everyone, or not to heal everyone or anything, just to get Feyline Stomp back. That's its only purpose. And then we have Summon White Tiger Statue. This is a really funny button, and I can't wait to show you this, but let me make sure I'm out of combat for a second. Okay, so we're gonna attack this dummy, and I get into melee, I drop the statue, and now I'm auto-attacking a dummy. Am I auto-attacking the dummy, please? Okay. The statue only works when you're in combat, and it didn't activate correctly. Great. So, if you enter combat and then you drop the statue, it does roughly 6k. If you do what I just did and you do it in the wrong order, it gets kind of mad and it doesn't work correctly. So in order to activate the statue, you want to be in combat already. So run in, spin, and then drop the statue. But the damage output from it is pretty nuts, and I highly recommend it. Now, Tiger's Lust. I want to go over the utility buttons, but Tiger's Lust, you can cast it on anyone and speed them up and deroot them. It's a very nice utility button to have. It'll get you around town a little bit quicker. It's nice. Paralyze will stop a target for up to 1 minute. Damage will cancel the effect, but it still cancels channels. So if you need to stop an attack or something that is unkickable, but can be paralyzed, this is a good stop button. Some skips involve it in Ring of Peace. I can't show you Ring of Peace in here very efficiently, but you drop it and that's a denial area. Anybody in there is going to get knocked back and out of the circle, kicking and stop, or not kicking, but interrupting lots of moves until they hit the floor. Do you know those annoying frogs in Halls of Infusion? Yeah, one of your best friends for getting them off you or someone else who needs to not die. Leg sweeps and AoE stun. What's not to love? It's on a 1 minute cooldown. And if you're a panda, you also get Quaking Palm, which is another single target interrupt if you need it. It'll specifically incapacitate them, which is a style of stun. It does not count as a kick, but then you also have your 15-second kick. You have so many tools here, and the reason I bring them all up is this can keep a pack, like a team alive, right? You have a party and you're fighting some nasty pack, and like there's moves coming out left and right. You have a ton of stalling potential, and that stalling potential is wonderful. Touch of Death, you're going to want to time it for when things are lower than your health bar. That'll ensure that you get your full damage onto them, but all things considered, if they're below your health bar and you can insta kill them, great, bosses included, but you can pop this earlier if the boss is going to live long enough. You'll do less damage, but it's still quite a strong hit. And as a healer, sometimes you just put it on cooldown to put it on cooldown so you can do other things. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Now, what the hell's the point of Crackling Jade Lightning? It doesn't have a purpose. There is a talent that interacts with it. I don't recommend you take it because it involves using Soothing Mist. And it's not it. It's not worth the damage. It's not worth the DPS, but it is good at pulling things from afar, hitting things when you can't hit them, or dealing with explosives in Mythic Plus week. You're welcome. Now, I just viewed a ton of info, and I'll try to put some gameplay on screen now. This is a hard class. There's a lot going on here, and it's difficult to juggle all the things that Mistweaver has to juggle. So take your time when you're leveling it, get used to your buttons, but it's so satisfying when you finally figure out how it all goes together and you find every bit and piece that has to fit into certain spots. The optimization and the routes you can go are incredible. And there's more than one build. There's places to play around with points here that feel satisfying. And I love the expression you get out of Mistweaver. It's also better than a lot of the tier lists say. If you go and read tier lists for who thinks what healers are better, you might be looking at tournament play where there's certain things are clearly better, but Mistweaver can pump as hard as some of the best, and I think it's being overlooked right now. Don't not play this because you're worried it's not going to be as competitive. I was clearing some 24s, and I want to say I cleared a 25, or I definitely could clear a 25 back in Shadowlands Season 3. You really can pump with this class, so give it a chance if you want something fun and gratifying. Disclaimers, it's hard. Don't play this class if you're looking for an easy time. Don't play this class for any other reason other than it's fun and it's satisfying and it's strong at what it does when you're good at it. I love in any video game when I can play something that really lets me express how good I can be at something, and this definitely does it, but so does Evoker to a degree. So I still plan on playing Evoker more than, say, Mistweaver, but this class is so much fun. So if you want a challenge or something to really push yourself with, you're gonna love it here. And hey, if you're a music rhythm or fighting game player here, right, you love your music rhythm games or your fighting games, this is your class. This satisfies that buttons and juggling and plate spinning that you adore from those genres, and I promise you'll find it here. But that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully it's not as long as the other one. Wait. Woo, I kept it under half an hour. Excellent news. Okay, but that's going to be it from me, everyone. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And if you run Mistweaver, give me an idea of what you like to run with it. There's not a ton of wrong answers in this class, so I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have come up with. But that's going to be it for me. Take care, everyone. I'll see you soon.